Welcome to episode 110. There is no better time than right now to plan your vacation getaway. Don't have the time to plan? Use the friendly travel agents at 3D Travel Company by going to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and clicking the Book Now button today on the left-hand side. Hurry and plan your trip today so you can travel away.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. Today's special guest is the voice of Tigatron from Transformers Beast Wars. Stay tuned for a clip and then an amazing interview with today's special guest.
It's empty. Where is the Maximal?
Right here.
Tigatron, maximize!
All right, let's do it!
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice. Today on the show I am super excited to be bringing you an interview with Blu Mankuma. Blu, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
My pleasure, Trenton. My pleasure.
Well, Blu, the very first thing we love to do when we have a guest on the show, especially for the very first time, is get to know them. So tell me about the little boy, Blu, that grew up into the man he became, and how did he get into acting?
Growing up, I had to do a lot of babysitting, and I used to put these little things together with the kids and have them, one would play this character, another play another, and stuff. And I didn't know at that time that I was going to become an actor, but my brothers tell me, yes, you did. You do all the time. So, and then when I was in junior high school and high school, I took drama.
Awesome.
And it really turned things around for me. It was really just a beautiful thing to do. I still didn't have enough courage to actually go on stage. I remember one of my teachers, it was in high school, she asked me to come out for, they were doing Tea House of the August Moon, and she wanted me to play the Japanese character that I think Mickey Rooney played him or something like that in the movie, and I just was emphatically no, okay. So at one point I did some children's plays, and I remember we had a substitute teacher. And she was really beautiful. I remember that. I have no idea what her name was. But, I remember we were doing the King's Cream Puffs, and we were at my old grade school actually doing it. And the interesting thing for me was stage fright is a very real thing, but
yes,
you get nervous and stuff when you're doing it. So I remember having to address that. It wasn't too severe for me, but still, and I did it. And as we finished the play, I remember the substitute teacher came running across the floor to me, and she said, "Young man, you have a great acting future ahead of you." And now, it was interesting, but at that moment, I didn't know what she was talking about because I didn't remember anything I had done.
Yeah.
Subsequently, years later, I figured out, well, I was in the moment going along, and whatever she saw was what I did in the moment, but I had no memory of that still to this day.
Wow.
But, yeah, but I always remember her reaction to it. So, that was the beginning of things. And as I said, I studied quite a bit. And when I moved to Vancouver here, who knew they would build a film industry for me? Who knew? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I did a lot of theater before that. Actually, I did things that James Earl Jones had done on Broadway.
Oh wow! Okay.
I did a play called The Blood Knot, which is a two-hander.
Okay.
And our version was like about 3.5 hours long. A lot of dialogue for two actors.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was cool, and I liked that. And then I did Cicely Bonzi is Dead, both of those Athol Fugard plays. And Cicely Bonzi, I said yes to doing the part before I had read the script. And then when I read the script, I found out I had a 45-minute monologue I had to do.
Oh, wow.
Scared the living bejesus out of me.
That would scare me
But
too.
yeah, but I sat down, learned it, put it together. I kind of did a Bill Cosby trip on it because it's one story after another. And it was very triumphant. And then when we were doing that production, there's a place in Vancouver called Studio 58. It's at Langara College, and it's a very, very well-known art college where they have a very extensive program of teaching people acting from the top to the bottom.
Okay.
The stage managers come out there, directors come out there, and a lot of actors and stuff. And the man who ran it, who actually had created it, his name is Anthony Holland. He was from England.
Okay.
And he had come to see the show, and he put a notice up at Studio 58 telling his students if they wanted to see real acting, they should come and see our show.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And I was so flattered. And then he came himself somewhere down the line and asked me if I wanted to do Othello.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And I said yes. And then I went home, and I lived in Richmond at the time, and we had dikes out there. So I went and sat near the water on a log, and the words were clear as a bell to me, and they were, "What have I done?" Because Shakespeare at that point sounded to me like, "Thus be thou, forsooth." I didn't understand a word the boy was saying.
Yeah.
But I did understand that if I could understand it, I can make an audience understand it. So it meant I had a lot of work ahead of me, but I got down and did it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The neatest thing about that is that years later, I did a film with Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, wow.
We did Cadence together. Yeah, it was really good. And I was watching him on the Actors Studio. He was being interviewed, and he had a very similar experience. He said that he was in talking to his agent at one time about this and that and the other thing, and then just as he was leaving, his agent said, "Wait a minute, Branagh, Othello, think about it." And Fish said he went home and thought about it a while, and he called his agent, and he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." And I remember James, I think his name is James Lawton, the host of Actor Studio. He said, "What did you do next?" He said, "Panic." I almost jumped out of my skin, Trev. That knocked me out, man. It was, I know. Yeah. But I don't know if you've seen the film of Othello with him in it. But
I haven't.
A wonderful job.
No, I haven't. But I'll definitely have to check it out for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how did?
Yeah.
So sorry, Blue. You go ahead, man.
No, I'm going to wait for you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I was going to ask is, so through all your stage acting and through everything that you did, how did you get into voice work, especially with Beast Wars that aired back between 1996 and 1999, where you played Tigatron, which was one of the 4 characters you played on that show?
Yeah. That was quite the move for me. Well, I had been acting in film, and I had a voiceover career going as well. When I got involved with a stage play in Vancouver at the Arts Club called Ain't Misbehaving.
Oh yes, I've heard of that one. Yes.
Yeah, and you want to hit, holy smoke, man. After our opening night, we were sold out for 2 months.
Good Lord, that's
they sold tickets the next few days for 2, and I did that show for 20 months.
Oh wow!
But and the rest of the cast went on for a couple of years, and it was just a phenomenal hit.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get back to acting really bad, so I finally decided I was going to leave the show, and I did, and the minute I got back on the circuit, as it were, and my time was available, I got calls from all over the place. And I remember the Beastie thing. I had a hard time. I knew who the Transformers were, what kind of characters, but seeing them as animals was a bit of a head trip for me.
I bet, yeah.
But boy, it turned out just beautifully, and yeah, it's still to this day that and the little part I did on My Little Pony are the things I get the most reaction to, the most mail about. And,
that's fantastic.
It's very, very gratifying. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
absolutely.
So, I love voice work is my favorite because like it doesn't take long. You don't have to memorize it.
Yeah.
You know, and you just sit in the room and get goofy. I got to tell you one experience I had. I forgot what cartoon we were working on, but it was something. And all these guys were in the room, and then one of the guys started fooling around, and he started doing Captain Kirk. You know,
nice.
You know, and then another guy started doing it back there, and suddenly I was in a room full of Captain Kirks.
That's funny.
And I can't do Kirk myself, but I was just thinking, how lucky does life get? You know, how fortunate can you be? This is, and I knew I was going to tell that story forever. You had a room full of Captain Kirks. yeah.
A dinner party story for sure.
Yeah, they were trying to top each other, and one was trying to say something funnier than the last and stuff, and I just had a joyous time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, Blue, I actually have to thank you because you actually helped me find my favorite animal as a young boy. My favorite animal is the white tiger, and it's all due to you playing your character Tigatron from Beast Wars.
Wow. Thanks for the compliment.
You're very welcome.
Beautiful. I have to tell you though that I always enjoyed doing this sort of thing, but I was not actually cognizant of the significance it can bring to children.
Absolutely.
And yeah. I went to a convention at one point in Lexington.
Okay.
And from Vancouver, we went to Lexington. Scotty went as well. Scott McNeil.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant. Dinobot and Rat Trap. He does them both. I used to stand beside him in the studio and watch him argue with himself. Those characters were always at each other.
They
really
were
good. Yeah. But I got down in Lexington, and this person came in, and it was a story similar to what you just said about your reaction to it. He said that he was in Chicago, and suddenly his parents told him that they were going to move. And they were going to move not down the street or, you know, further some other place, some other location in the city. Yeah. They're moving totally down south. I don't know if it was New Orleans or something just way the hell gone from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And he was not a happy camper. He's a kid, so he had to leave all of his friends. And he said when he got down there, he didn't want to go outside. He wasn't necessarily afraid. He just was, you know, totally in a new setting, and he didn't acclimatize himself too well. And he was watching TV. And he said, I swear to God, he said this to me, right? He said that he started watching, they call it Beast Wars down in the States.
Yeah.
And he said in Tigatron, he said he liked that character so much and how he dealt with his thing, because Tigatron didn't, you know, he didn't want to be in battle. He didn't see all that stuff as a good thing.
Yeah.
There's a necessity for it, but there was something that struck this little kid enough, so he said it gave him the courage to go outside and meet other people, and you know what I mean. He became fond of his neighborhood. Then he actually went out of the door because Tigatron made him feel it was going to be okay to do. I never thought I'd hear a story like that. You got to know, dog. That knocked my socks off.
That's a fantastic story, man. Wow.
Holy smokes, man.
Wow.
Who knew? Who knew? But therefore, you just never know, right?
Oh, no, you don't.
You're doing a voiceover. You're doing but how the way it can touch a kid like that?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Well, and
Yeah.
Transformers has always been a favorite of mine, but Beast Wars, like you said, was just kind of a head trip. It was like, what is this with animals
Yeah.
and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah, you know.
and it's left such an impression because it is so much more unique than all the other versions where they're trucks and cars and planes. And it's so distinguished because it's not like, wait, what series was that again? It's like, you can't mistake it. It's Beast Wars. They were animals, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Optimus Prime is a big old 8-year-old gorilla and stuff. And,
Yeah.
But, yeah, every character in there is I think, a work of art. I think they really work on so many different levels, man. And I love that Rat Trap is this New York, so
Yeah.
mouthy, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, but it mirrors life so well. As do I got to say, all the Transformers do.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's such a successful franchise. I had a hard time believing they could take it into live action.
Yeah.
You know. And really make it work, but boy, did they ever! You know,
They sure did.
I was blown away by how well they did that.
Yeah,
and man, they made it work. So,
they sure did.
yeah,
They sure did.
Right on,
well, you know, you were talking about Scotty McNeil. I have not had the pleasure of having him on the show, and I am dying to have him on. But you know, other castmates
interview, dude. That's the dude.
Well, you know, other castmates that I've had on the show from Beast Wars are, of course, Gary Chalk, Optimus Primal, Ian James Corlett, Cheetor.
The best.
Yeah, he is. David K, Megatron, and Richard
Oh,
Newman.
yeah, David K.
Richard
I used
Newman.
to love David K.
Yeah.
I used to just love it, man. He stood right beside me, too, and I couldn't I complimented him pretty much every show. I just thought he was doing such a fantastic job as Megatron.
His voice was crazy good. I mean, you guys were just an amazing cast. And, you know, just recently I had Richard Newman on the show who played Rhinox.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of the other characters.
Isn't that amazing? I don't know if you've ever met him in real life.
I haven't.
Richard isn't the biggest guy anyway. He's a little tiny guy, and his great big voice comes out of a little. Well, I shouldn't call him little tiny, but he's not like 6'7" as his voice would make you think.
Yeah.
He is, you know?
Yeah.
And stuff. But boy, what an artist! What a just wonderful actor, and very good people too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some of the other characters you actually got to play on Beast Wars were Tigerhawk, Unicron, and a character named Vok #1, kind of a space guardian lord, kind of floating head thing. But, you know, it was a show that was transformative, and in its name meaning, you know, multiple meanings for Transformers.
Yeah.
It was transformative to people like me as a young kid, but it was also a Transformers rendition that really blew things out of the water and has left a mark on the world forever. So.
Yes, well, I thank you for saying that. I got to say that comports with a lot of the I can't say mail, but people get in touch with me on Facebook and they will say that.
Yeah,
it was mind blowing to me the other day. Well, now it's been a couple of months. I kept getting this Facebook post from this lady and she would say YouTube.
Yeah.
And she'd say Blu Mankuma, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know what she was saying, so I'd click it, and it'd take me to YouTube, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I said, and then one day it dawned on me, well, go and type your name in. And I did, and all of this stuff came up, man. I was blown away. Because finally I found out where people were getting all of these different posts they were putting on my Facebook page, and I had no idea. But how gratifying does life get? Yeah,
absolutely.
I've had a very beautiful run of it.
Absolutely. Well, you've done some amazing works. We're just going to touch on some of your other animated works. You've done Captain N, the Game Master, with my good buddy Matt Hill, who played Kevin Keene, the Captain N. You've been on Reboot, Extreme Dinosaurs, which had a lot of your castmates from Beast Wars on it. And then you played Hard Rock on that one. He was kind of a soft-hearted but kind of bouncer type character on the show. You did another one of my favorites called Mummies Alive with Dale Wilson and Gerard Plunkett. You played Anubis on that one in 4 episodes. And then you worked on RoboCop, Alpha Commando, an animated show where you played Sergeant Reed, where you worked with my other good buddy, David Sobolov, who played RoboCop on that show. And then, of course, My Little Pony.
I actually did for RoboCop, I actually did the live action we were doing a series. We only got one season, but I went out to Toronto to shoot that. But I love the name of the character in that. Are you familiar with Vancouver at all?
I am a little bit. I haven't been there, but I've had a lot of people that I've dealt with for the show through Vancouver. So I've really gotten to know Canada from afar, but very much so from all of the actors I've gotten to know. So,
okay.
And I
Well,
hope
in
to visit,
Vancouver,
so.
there's, well, yeah, I hope you do, because it's your postcard, man, for real. Especially right
Absolutely.
now with the sunshine juxtaposed over the snow. It's,
Oh, wow.
It's uncanny. But there's a very popular area called Stanley Park.
Okay.
So there's a zoo there and a aquatic center and all that. But the character I played in RoboCop in the series, his name was Sergeant Stanley Park.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I guess you got to know Vancouver to know. Oh, but it's cool. And plus, that's one of the very first times. But I do have Tigatron as well, but where I have an animated character that you can actually go purchase. You know, yeah, and that's mind-boggling.
I know it has to be, but it's pretty crazy that they did a live action RoboCop TV show. I mean, but it's pretty awesome. You know, I mean, that was one of the shows you have done live action, as well as MacGyver. And you were also on a show called Mantis, which I really loved, starring Carl Lumbly as Dr. Miles Hawkins.
I think what happened with that one, that was a little before its time. You know,
I think it was, yeah.
What a great concept.
Yeah. I would love to see them reboot Mantis, because, you know, it dealt with a paralyzed African-American scientist who builds a powerful exoskeleton suit in order to walk again, because he becomes paralyzed through a tragic accident. You know, I think there's a shooter that's trying to get the, like, chief of police or something, and he gets hit in the crossfire or something. And then he uses his abilities through his suit to fight crime. The feature film, there was like a TV feature film that came out, and then it spawned the TV show. And I fell in love with it because Carl did an amazing job, and you did a great job on the show. You played Chief Grant on that show. So amazing work.
Well, you got all the goods on me, don't you? Dude?
Well, dude, you've been a part of my life on so many shows, and it's crazy because you look back, you know, sometimes you see an actor and something like Tigatron like sparks your, like, whoa, who is this? And then you look back at their career and you're going, oh my gosh, they're on everything I've ever loved. Like, I loved Mummies Alive, and I loved RoboCop, and I loved Captain N. And it's like, you've been a part of my life, my whole life, Blue, and I didn't even know it. And now I'm sharing that love and passion with others so that maybe they can look back and go, holy cow, I've loved Blue my whole life and didn't even know it.
Wow, Tim, that's so beautiful to hear. Thank you very much, man. I've always said that I'm one of the most blessed people walking.
Absolutely.
And primarily, I think, because of my kids, but then secondary to that would be, you know, I've been able to do what I love to do for a living.
Absolutely.
And you know, lay a few things down that kind of had some significance, and it's just wonderful, man.
Absolutely.
And on it goes.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm just going to mention a couple of other quick shows. You did mention My Little Pony, where you played on, which was My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And that was back in 2010. And then a couple of other live action TV shows, jumping back to a couple other final ones that you've done that I absolutely loved. Stargate SG-1, and of course the CW Smallville and Supernatural, just to name a few. These animations and live actions are just a scratching of the surface of the amazing works you've done. But I had to mention some
the
of
ones
these.
Let me just interject, because I'm pretty sure you know these pieces, but the ones I get the most mail about, reaction to are Tim Allen did the Santa Claus 2.
Yes.
And working with Debbie Reynolds in Halloweentown II, Kalabar's Revenge.
Yes, sir.
And
as Gort.
Somebody will walk up to me and they'll be shy. They'll say, excuse me. I don't mean to bother you, but are you an actor? And then they start to tell me how Halloweentown is something they watch every year.
I do that.
Because the first time they thought there were 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know, they just love it. And again, how can your heart get warmer? It's so gratifying, man. And
Absolutely.
I've been fortunate, Trenton, for real.
Well, Halloweentown was one I was definitely going to touch on because I am a huge fan, and that is definitely a tradition I've fallen into where I watch the movies every year. And you played Gort on that show.
Yes, I did.
Who goes through some crazy transitions as Kalabar's revenge is unleashed upon Halloweentown.
Well, we all did. Remember when everything turned gray?
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I remember doing those scenes with Debbie. Debbie was, oh, man. Do you know at that time when we were shooting it, she was still appearing and starring in Vegas.
Really?
She was a huge song and dance lady. Yeah, she was what we call in the business a triple threat. Always.
I loved her in the Singing in the Rain.
Dancing.
I loved her in Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
So,
the Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Oh yeah.
But
Debbie was a sweetheart.
Oh man, and I loved it because if you know, both of my parents and my stepmother, they've all passed now, but during the time when I was a kid and stuff was when the whole thing with Debbie and Liz and Eddie Fisher and all that was, you know, all the tabloid. That was the biggest news of the day. And I've often thought, and I wonder how they would react if they were still around to I'm actually doing a film, or I've done a film with Debbie Reynolds, man.
Yeah.
She was a sweetheart, man.
She just seems so kind.
I was really sad.
So kind and genuine.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, the heart just big as gold, but the performer in her just consummate. You know,
that's awesome.
I don't see a lot of people that are that let me say blatantly the triple threats. A lot of them are, and you don't know it. You know, there was the guy, he starred in what is that name of that show? It's a huge cop show, and is very, very popular. But he started out as a song and dance man. I had no idea. And then one day I'm watching, and this tough, hard ass cop is just singing and dancing across the stage. You know, like, Jesus. Yeah, it's, you know. But
That's
Debbie,
funny.
you always knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and things have changed so much since Debbie's time when she was a young girl. You know, back in the day, musicals were so much more prevalent, and you knew the actor's talent more because feature films today are more based on like real life and action packed and this and that. And so like we don't see stuff like Hugh Jackman's The Greatest Showman, where we really get to see an actor sing and dance and act and do all of this amazing stuff on screen anymore. Which
Isn't it interesting though when you see them display their talent in
it's
that
mind-blowing.
way? It's so well rounded and stuff. You know, speaking of which, you know, I'm a singer songwriter, right?
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah, wow. I got a CD. Let me give you the coordinates of where a person could see, listen to.
Please tell us,
purchase my CD. Okay, it's Blu Man, BLUMAN .bandcamp.com.
Fantastic, Blu. Thank you for sharing that. I did not know that golden nugget of amazingness. So thank you for sharing that.
You're very welcome. The brother be getting down, best believe.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about one final show that has been super impactful on my life. I call this a twisted fairy tale. It's called Tinman from 2007. It was a SyFy miniseries. Where you played Tutor / Toto, and you worked with an amazing cast on this show. You worked with Zooey Deschanel, who played DG, aka Dorothy Gale, Neil McDonough, Alan Cumming, Richard Dreyfuss, and the list just goes on. What was it like getting to work on this twisted fairy tale, kind of a futuristic beyond the Wizard of Oz story tale?
It was mind-boggling because who doesn't know the Wizard of Oz? And
Absolutely.
I'm like, what, we're going to tell that tale again?
Yeah.
But the way they did it, you know, the approach they took, I thought was brilliant. And you're right, the cast. Like, I didn't know much about Zoe at that point.
Yeah, she was kind of new at that point in 2007.
Yeah. I had seen Neil in some things. Alan Cumming was a bit of a new entity to me, too, but I was vaguely familiar with him.
Yeah.
But as an ensemble, as we got together, we were just having a ball, you know. And then I did get a chance to sit down and watch it after we had done it, and I was going, you know, this ain't bad at all. Holy, you know.
Yeah.
I thought the take on the Wiz was pretty pretty unique and well thought out, well written, and I was so pleased to be a part of that. I got to say, man.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And
it was
I love watching all of their careers. I think Alan Cumming is coming up on a new series now. The man never stops working.
Yeah, he's so you guys have all really exploded since then, because Neil has really come out since then. He's been on a ton of the CW shows.
Is The Last Ship or something like that?
I think so, yeah. But he's been really prevalent on the CW's Arrow and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, playing Dark. So it's been crazy. And Alan is coming out in a new murder mystery series where he's like a detective. And
that's what I saw. Yeah.
I haven't seen Richard do anything in a while, Richard Dreyfuss, but Zoe Deschanel's been super busy on tons of different projects, and I'm totally blinking out on her new show.
The New Girl, that's her show.
Yes, that show's been exploding. It's been doing really, really well, and I loved her.
She's so good. She's so good.
She is, and I fell in love with her in Elf when she was doing that movie, and then I fell in love with her again with watching Tinman, because she's just so cute, and she has such a lovely voice. I love hearing her sing. So.
Yes. She used to sing on set a lot, just sing a little bit. Yeah, but again, you're saying echoes of my heart. I just love. That's the most important and fascinating aspect of being an actor, is the people you meet.
Absolutely.
And often get to work with. I've had the thrill of working with people that growing up with my family in Seattle. I used to sit on the couch and watch. James Garner, for example.
Yeah.
I used to watch Maverick every week.
Nice.
And to be able to sit and tell him that to his face was. I did a film with Lou Gossett called Jasper, Texas. This is a bit of a hard thing to take because it's a tough story, but I got to tell him how watching him on Roots, where he did Fiddler.
Yeah.
And how I saw him sitting on it. He was grumpy all day in the picture. And he sat under the tree and I said, as a kid watching, I said, I knew he was going to die. And when he actually died, and it broke my heart, man.
Yeah.
He's such a great actor. Great
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
And who knew I could sit in front of him one day and I should tell him that.
That's amazing.
But I got the opportunity. Yeah, man. Whoa,
that's so awesome. When we're able to share our passions with others who have impacted our lives, like I'm sharing with you, Blu, not just sharing your story, but it really means a lot to me. And, I hope it does mean a lot to you as well, because you have made such an impact on my life, man. So thank you.
It's huge to me, Jen. Like honest to goodness, I take that with me wherever I go. Because, like I said, just like that little kid blew my mind when he was talking about the impact that the tiger had on him, and making him brave enough to go out and explore his new environment and become
take on the world.
okay with the move. Yeah, I said, man, who knew? But I was so happy to hear that story and give that kid a hug. And I got to say, and I live like a fairy tale because it just continues to get better and better and better. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Blu, I have two final questions for you, man, and we will wrap this interview up. Are you ready?
Yeah, shoot.
All right. Yeah. The first of the two is, what is the kind of advice you would give to someone who's maybe an aspiring actor or actress, or maybe somebody who's already kind of broken into the field? What is some advice you would share with them today?
The first thing I would say is do stage. Do stage. There's no better teacher. You can't learn doing film work what you can learn doing a play, let alone doing 4, 5, or 12.
Yeah.
And if you can squeeze a little Shakespeare in there, do that too, because the growth you undergo as an actor is just enormous. The difference between the performance you're doing on opening night and the performance you're doing on closing night, it's like you talk about night and day.
Yeah.
Because you've learned so much, you peeled back so many layers and stuff, and there's no way you could get there without going through the performances every day. So I'd say do stage, and then there's a phrase, I've been talking about this a lot lately. a phrase that I like an awful lot. It is regarding a career in showbiz, especially acting. If anything can stop you, let it. Yeah. The meaning is that even with your whole heart in it, trying with all you got, total commitment, all in and stuff like that, it's hard. Okay? So if you're thinking, well, I'll give it a year and see how, just don't bother. Just go get the job at Denny's and, take care of your family and stuff. Because I'm telling you, man, it's tough going, and it's so worth it. It's so worth it, but you got to be, you got to have that little bit of a kamikaze heart, and just your dream. You're just going to keep following it, and nobody's going to tell you not to.
Absolutely.
Now, if you got that. If you got that going on, you got a shot, man, and hopefully I'll see you in the bright lights.
Fantastic advice. I really love it, Blu. Thank you so very much. The last
You're very, very well. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead, man. You were just saying.
No, I'm ready for the next one.
Okay.
Shoot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
That's all right.
Well, Blu, the last and final question I have for you today is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Ooh, that's interesting. I liked, I was watching Johnny Carson one time, and Ray Charles was on, and Johnny asked him a similar question. It was phrased a bit differently, but he did. And what do you want people to say about you? He said, I want them to say I did good work, and I thought that was just brilliant, man, because it's. Now, this is an answer to both questions, because it does harken back to the first question you asked me. One of my favorite stories is they asked Jimmy Cagney a long time ago what method of acting he preferred.
Okay.
Was it method or Stanislavski or anything like that? And he said he didn't care about any of that. He said, I just stand back on my heels and I mean what I say. Wow. And to me, that was a bolt of lightning going through me. You talk about something like that. It was the deepest truth. And I follow that, and I reiterate it every chance I get, because there are so many paths and stuff like that. And there isn't a one true way, but if you are sincere from your heart, and bringing it with all you got, and you mean it, you'll get there. Your fellow thespians will appreciate that, but the audience will probably stand up and cheer at the end of the performance, man. And if it's movies, hopefully you'll make some money like Black Panther's making now.
Absolutely. That was a stunning film, by the way. So if you haven't seen it,
isn't it? I just saw it yesterday. Knocked my socks off.
Did mine too.
Oh, Jesus.
Mind blowing. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Wow. So
yeah. Accolades all around. Holy smoke.
So,
way to go. Yeah.
It was amazing.
So that's about it, Trent. That's, all the sage advice I have. And I hope people take it to heart, because it's a good game. It's not for the people who take it lightly. You got to come with it. And, there are people out there that are very, very, very good, and you want to be able to stand beside them and give as good as you get.
Absolutely.
And that means you got to put in the work. There are no shortcuts to that.
Well, Blu, I cannot thank you enough for the time we've had to chat today. It has been most riveting and most exciting, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, my pleasure, Trent, big time. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I wish you well, bro.
Thank you so much. Well, Blu, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show today. Would you please do us the honor of closing out today's episode as Tigatron from Beast Wars?
Be kind to each other. Be good to the planet. I'm Blu Mankuma as Tigatron, and I'm out.
Well, everyone, I sure hope you enjoyed today's episode with Blu Mankuma, the voice of Tigatron from Transformers Beast Wars. And if you did, please find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram by searching Who Did That Voice. I would love to hear from you. A question you might ask yourself is, Where can I listen to Who Did That Voice? That's an excellent question. You can hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and our website at www.whodidthatvoice.co. Click the Episodes tab and listen away. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us next time for our special guest, Larry Kinney, the voice of Sonny from Cocoa Puffs the cereal. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, do you ask yourself who did that voice? Well, if you do, go to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click on the Episodes tab. Choose an actor, pick their name, and see pictures from the different characters they voiced in their career.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.